Hello, my podcast people, and thank you for joining me for yet another episode of my favorite podcast. If you're tuning in, listening, watching on the day that this drops, it is Monday, May 12th, and we're talking about what's your thing. This episode, this concept, inspired by a live that Sharon McMahon did and a convo that I recently had with my friend Allegra Stein. But first, a few life/business updates. I really enjoy doing these. So, right off the bat, I am hosting a podcast workshop this Thursday. It'll be May 15th, 4 p.m., 97 Monies. I'm going to teach you exactly how to start the podcast, what to buy, how to record, where to publish, and 100% how to avoid all the fucking tech spirals that, get in people's ways and then they stop before they even start. So we'll link that in the show notes. Thank you, Courtney. And thank you, Jojo. Jojo is back, folks. Jojo is back from pat leave, and now he's doing the stuff for me again. So I very much enjoy recording this podcast. This is like a little bit off script here, but I enjoy recording these podcast episodes. And that's part of the reason I'm hosting this is if you want to get your voice out there, if you want a different outlet, and this is largely what the podcast is for me, I want to help you do it. It's not nearly as hard as people think. The hardest part is keeping one going, but every Monday, I actually really enjoy recording these. I'm not going to lie, sometimes I don't love doing the outline for it. You don't have to do an outline for it. I do it now because of the video, but I really do. There's something cathartic about it. So if that's you, if you're thinking about another creative outlet, would love to help you with the podcast thing. So next life update, I did see Sinners. The last two episodes, I recorded them like very close together, like Monday and Wednesday. And then I went and saw Sinners on Thursday. So there was like a time period in there that I'd seen it, but I recorded the episode before. But either way, it was so fucking good. Go see it or don't. You're an adult. I personally hate it when people tell me to go watch stuff. Most people's recommendations are bad. I said what I said. So do what you want. But I really enjoyed it. We went and saw it in IMAX. I took Lex. It's not scary. I don't like scary movies. I refuse to go to scary movies. I was actually just going to buy a ticket and then not go because I wanted to support the film. But Yanni went first and she was like, it is not scary. So I went. There was one jump scare in the beginning that I wasn't anticipating because the previews show the jump scares, except for one of them. But it is objectively not a scary movie. I just really, really enjoyed it. So next update, May Gray is here. Right, this drops on May 12th. May Gray is here, so prepare to hear any and all complaints from anyone and everyone that you know who lives in SoCal. All right, this shit happens every year, and every year people get upset. They're like, I never knew. I guess you did, because it happened last year. All right, last life update, had band practice this past weekend. It's been a minute. It was amazing. I just love it so much. I really wish we could have it more often, but people got things to do. Elisa and I actually split an electric drum kit. She was just like toying with the idea, and she was like, hey, I found this. And I was like, okay, I'll split it with you. So we went and picked it up off of like an offer up or whatever. She took care of all of it. But it was so much fun. Like, I have no formal training in drums, but like I did have a drum set going up, and like I can hold the beat, keep rhythm. Like, it was really, really fun. We kind of traded off, playing guitar and that, and Tiffany's there playing bass. It was just really, really fun, and it gives me life, and, we'll be going on tour shortly, so stay tuned for deets. But that brings me to today's topic, which is, what is your thing? So Sharon McMahon, she discussed this on a live that she did on Substack, and of note, Sharon is probably one of the few people who it actually makes sense to have a Substack. I say this mainly because like there probably is some financial benefit, and I hope they aren't taking 10% of what she makes on that, because she brought all the people over there. It's not like they found her on Substack, right? She had a massive fucking following. But I say it makes sense because on the live where she spoke about this, there were 6,000 people on it, and it's you can't, like, where else can you do that? I mean, you could probably do it on YouTube, but it's not like all in one place where it's like, oh, her readings and all the things are there. And she collabed with this guy, Steve, I think his name is Steve Vladeck. Maybe he has a big following. I don't know. I didn't know him before, but he's like a friend of hers. Either way, that's where it was hosted. All that to say, go check out the episode that I did on should you start a Substack. Spoiler, no, but listen to the episode. You can decide for yourself. But at the end of that live, she basically answered the question, which is like, what can we even do as individuals, right? We feel hopeless. This feels huge. It feels overwhelming. Things just feel futile. What can we do? And one of the things she said was to figure out your thing and then lean in, right? In this case, she was largely talking about advocacy and, participatory democracy. And this idea of like, when everything needs to be protected, when we feel like everything is like actually being stripped away, what should we fight for? And the answer is your thing, right? You cannot care about all of the things. You got to figure out, like, her thing is education. You got to figure out what your thing is and lean in. Right? And this advice really landed with me, and definitely in more ways than one. Right? But what I want to focus on today largely is the kind of subsequent question of like, well, what if you don't know what your thing is? Right? Because that definitely landed with me. Right? As a business coach, I stay encouraging people to niche down, right? Which is another way of saying, what's your thing? Okay, and now go all in on that. Right? When I ask people to do this, in my intensive, I preface it by saying that for many people, it will likely be the hardest thing that I ever ask them to do, or that they're ever asked to do. I pick one thing. Myself included in some ways, right? I've always said that folks like Courtney Conley, and she's Gate Happens, they are quote unquote luckier. And I say luckier without taking a single fucking thing away from all of the hard work. She's incredibly hard worker. But I say lucky in that she's like, I like feet. Feet are my thing. And she's all in on it. And she's fucking been all in on it for like a really long time now. It's still her thing. And I'm like, geez, that's like, wow. Right? So I use lucky in this very like quotations and like this like, that to me feels like a simpler path of like, this is your thing. Okay, go all in on it. There's no like, oh, I like this, and I like the other thing. I do fall into that category in many ways because I'm like, once I have a thing, I'm just like, okay, I'm in on it. I don't have like a million ideas always coming to me where I'm like, oh, I got to pick that and that. And I do believe that it's easier for me than for someone that's like a true ideator. The name I'm going to bring up I'm going to bring up later in the episode is Allegra. She's a true ideator. Like she always has ideas like, I could do this, I could do this thing, I could do this thing. That's not me. I'm not sitting here with a million fucking ideas. And even when I'm going to launch something, it's really just like one idea comes and I'm like, well, that's the thing. Like simple. So that is why I say that, there's a lucky, or she's luckier and it's simpler. Like, because I'm saying that from a place of like, I experience that. And I look at my counterparts who have a million ideas and don't know where to start, or like, oh, this and this thing. And it feels like I have a bit of an easier path with that. Right. But the flip side of this is that I do know that I attract, the nicheless or multi-passionate people, right? Because those are different, but I'm going to like kind of lump them together, but they are different. And because that's me, right? On the one hand, like I said, I'm very good at sticking to one thing, right? If it works, I'm going to keep doing it. I don't have a ton of ideas. And when I have the idea, I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to keep doing it. I'm very process oriented. I don't set goals. I don't need to like have something on the calendar to chase after, go after, or strive for. That is not me at all, right? But when it comes to my profession and my career, I pretty much just be doing things that serve as vehicles to help people build, live and build their best lives, right? So while that is my thing, right? Build and live your best life. My transformational vehicle has changed, right? First it was PT, then it was movement education, then it was Instagram, then it was online business, right? I have these more tangible things that act as, serve as a mouthpiece for more of this like, intangible, live your best life kind of thing, which is largely underpinned by this idea of authenticity and self-expression. But these are things that are like can be kind of hard to like market and message. So I understand when I attract and why I attract people who have things that are hard to market and message, right? I empathize with you sometimes, whatever the right word is, I get it. 100% I get it. And I understand when folks are like, they don't know what their thing is. They don't know how to articulate it. Right? Action item wise, what I would suggest, right? So that not there's anything wrong with having an episode or all the episodes just be more about, my thoughts and musings. Action item wise. So, because I don't want to just be like, okay, then I hear you and then nothing. What I would suggest is consider taking some time to actually sit and think about what your thing is. And so some of you, you're like, Maestro, that's all I fucking do. That's fine. But for others, right, as always, take what serves you, leave the rest. For others, perhaps you never been asked. You've never actually sat and thought, like, what is my thing? What do I care about? What do I like? Right? And, particularly just tying from what I said before, particularly from an advocacy, thing, if you're sitting there feeling hopeless with all the shit that is going on in the United States, Like, what do you care about? Please don't shame yourself for not caring about something else. Right? You can't care about all the things. I've done episodes about this, right? You can't care about all the things. Right? So what do you care about the most? Go Google that thing. Who's doing something about that thing with that thing that you care about? And then go and join them. Right? That's literally the best action item as it relates to advocacy. And yes, like this is, I used that phrase before, participatory democracy. That's what's happening. Like you have to participate. Sucky. I know. Maybe you'd rather be doing something else. Well, that's not where we're at, right? From a career perspective, right, as it relates to figuring out your thing, I have a few ideas. Right, number one, let's make peace with the fact that this shit can take time, and that's okay. Right? It can take a really long time to figure out what your thing is, and that is okay. Can't rush it, right? And the time's gonna pass anyway, so just let's try and make peace with that. The second thing, I've mentioned this before, and I lean into this. I think it's pretty cool, is AI, right? This, from a execution perspective, kind of leans into the figuring out what you're good at, perhaps more so than what your thing is. But it's nice to start off with what you're good at, try that, and have that maybe become your thing, right? But if you hate AI, don't use it, right? I have made peace with the fact that it is using me, so I'm gonna use it back. Right? Though if anyone listening to this has any information or suggestions about mitigating the environmental impact, I am all ears. Like, please message me, text me, DM me, text me 310-737-2345. Like, I'm all ears around that because I do actually really like using it. But the way that I suggest using it to figure out what you're good at is to basically share all of your shit with it. Not like your passwords, right? Right, and then ask what you're good at. So what I mean when I say share all your shit is the things that you create, right? Emails that you're sending to your people, outlines for things, like outlines for these podcast episodes, any notes you're taking, captions that you make for social media posts, sales page copy, website copy, all of those things. It's your voice. Share it, right? Share the questions that you want to research. Have it help you out with that. Share the things that you just have questions about, the things that you're just thinking. Share it with. Yes, I get it. Sharing with a robot, sharing with AI. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. For those of you that are like, yeah, maybe, share all these things. You can literally just submit stuff in ChatGPT. So that's my preferred one. Use whatever you want, right? You can just submit stuff. You don't have to ask it for feedback. You don't have to ask it to change it. You can just be like, hey, I want you to learn about me. Here's my stuff. It will prompt you. I actually had a discussion with it last night because I was like, why do you always prompt me? Like, you trying to take my money? Like, what the fuck? And I was trying to be like, why the prompt? And it makes sense. It was like, we want you to, because I was like, ultimately, you want me to use it more. And it was just like, yeah, but not to like steal shit from you. The goal is to have a better user experience so that you keep using it and then you keep paying for it. Like, that's the monetary, because it's not like they don't like you get paid, like they get paid per query that you put in there. It's per month that you sign up, and it makes sense that if the thing is helpful, you're going to stay on for more months, right? So I'm saying this because if you use it at the end, it doesn't just give you an answer. It prompts you. It's like, would you like me to do XYZ for it with this thing you asked me to do? So all that to say, you don't have to ask it to do anything. It will prompt you, but you can just say no, right? You can just put it in there and be like, hey, I just want you to learn about me, learn my voice, learn what I'm interested in. And then after that, you can, right? Because basically what you're doing is you're creating a data set, and then you're asking it to analyze it. And you can say, what am I good at? You can go further and be like, what career recommendations do you have based on what you see that I'm good at? What are ways to monetize this, right? The sky's the limit. What I want you to understand is that it's the idea of inputting a data set for it to analyze. All right. So that is one thing you can do. I actually just had a workshop that I did for Jill's FBA folks, and I didn't have them I suggested it, and some of them did it while we were on the call, and they were just like, yo, this is awesome. And I was like, that's great. If it sucks, okay. But also I'm just throwing out suggestions here. The third thought that I have around figuring out your thing, and this is what was inspired by the conversation with Allegra, and something that I'm currently going through, is to embrace seasonality, right? One of the issues that I've always had with just advice that's on the interwebs is that people often don't say what season of life they're in. And that is huge. It's a huge omission there, right? Someone who is in the reaping season, is that right? Yes. Someone who's in the reaping season maybe isn't necessarily the best person to be giving advice to someone who's in the sowing season. right? Particularly if they're not including the context that in their advice. Right? Jade says it, easy is earned. And so like I'm watching is like the next wave of advice that's given is like to slow down, enjoy. Yes. And the example I always use and the metaphor I use is surfing. Like you can't ride the waves until you fucking paddle out there. So like, yeah, I can give you advice and be like, yo man, just ride the waves. It's so good. But if the person's on the beach and they don't know how to swim, not helpful, right? Not helpful advice. So I personally have 5-year cycles for things. And at the end of that 5 years, I'm just like, what's next? Right? And this ties into the seasonality in what season of life, right? 5-year cycles. And then I'm like, what's next? I went all in on online. I went all in with online business in 2020. And now it's 2025, folks. And I'm like, what's next? Right? I am also 40, which is also a different season. And not so much in like I have no fucks to give. I see that messaging, and it's not that I have no fucks to give. It's more like I don't fucking care about that. Right? I care about plenty of things. Let's circle back to the beginning of this episode. I'm talking about the update section that I did of like brand practice and syndrome. I care about plenty of things. I don't care about that shit. Right? All that to say, right? All of this to say that consistency. Right? It can be, and it is. It's important and it's helpful in accomplishing many things, but also, your thing is allowed to change, right? The seasons, and I'm not going to say that your thing should change. Like, I don't like that word should, but just putting it out there, the permission that you don't need, like your thing is allowed to change, and it will probably change with the seasons of your life, right? Even I'm just thinking about like my friend Yanni, like she's like master pickleball player now. Like it's a different season of life for her. Like she played, collegiate basketball. She's still an athlete, but like the sport has changed. Like I'm into volleyball now as a collegiate, D1 collegiate soccer player. It changed. Things change. Right? This is the parent that I'm thinking about Joe, right? He was in the season of being on paternity leave and now he's back to work. Suppose the person that's like stayed home with their kids for years, that's a season. And then they go into the next season. Now they're like, okay, the kids are grown up, right? Your thing is allowed to change. Right? The kind of expectation, I'm always about expectation management. The expectation management I want to throw out here is that you're changing, your seasons may be at odds with society's expectations in many different ways. Right? I'm going to leave that open-ended for you to decide whether, that's a good thing or bad thing, societally imposed, whatever. I just want to put that out there. Like people are like, what's the gap on your resume? Like heaven forbid. Right? I am simply putting this out there, putting that point out there about the fact that you're changing maybe at odds with society's expectations so that you are ready for the possibility that, your decision to be okay with your thing changing may be met with resistance, right? I always want to it's the expectation management piece, right? So I'm going to wrap it up here. Rupert is literally fucking pawing at the door. He's been all episode and I'm like, going to go punch him. I love him. I'm not going to punch him, but I'm going to go shake him. But the main point of the episode, right? If you're overwhelmed and wondering what you can do now advocacy-wise, right? Take time to figure out your thing, figure out who's already doing it, and then join them. As it relates to figuring out your thing, like career and maybe life-wise, number one, give it the time that it takes. Number two, consider leaning on AI if you want. And then number three, most importantly, embrace seasonality and change. All right. Don't forget podcast workshop this Thursday, May 15th, 4 p.m. It'll be in the show notes. Thank you, Courtney. Thank you, JoJo. And thank you to all of you for tuning in. I know you could have been doing anything and you're here with me. All right. That's all I got for you. Until next time, friends, Maestro.